spoilers ahead. Trailer Park Boys is a Canadian mockumentary television series that has been on air for over 20 years. Yes, this year, Trailer Park Boys celebrates its 21st anniversary. Since it aired in 2001 on Showcase, a then small Canadian TV channel, it rose from the underground to the mainstream, gaining a cult following along the way. It is also famous for the longest running joke ever.
You know what this is? Walkie-talkie? Jim, what are you...
While the boys have certainly stolen the hearts of millions, mine included, the show has also received considerable criticism for violence and the use of profane language. Let's dive deeper into the history of the show, its meanings, writing, and characters. Trailer Park Boys started off as a low-budget short film titled One Last Shot, directed by the series creator Mike Clattenburg. One Last Shot premiered at the Atlantic Film Festival in 1998 and saw immediate success, which led to the creation of the feature film Trailer Park Boys the following year. Mostly improvised and produced for less than $10,000, Trailer Park Boys was a raw, black and white approximation of the show we know today, Bubbles not being part of the cast yet. But it managed to garner enough attention to get picked up by the Showcase network, and the rest is history. The original intro from the feature film was kept throughout all seasons, which deserves some appreciation, as it is the perfect backdrop for the satirical tone of the whole show. Relaxed, romantic music paired with the idyllic trailer park imagery is disrupted with chaos and madness in the next scene of the episode. The intro is a slap in the face to the unrealistic representation of life in TV shows and an emblem to what Trailer Park Boys is all about. In the words of Mike Clattenburg, an anti-TV show. Set in fictional Sunnyvale Trailer Park in Nova Scotia, Canada, Trailer Park Boys follows the lives of the boys, Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles, as they get wasted, come up with elaborate and greasy business ideas, and execute them through an array of mostly illegal schemes, but also explore the meaning of friendship, family, and community. Supporting characters include Trevor, Corey, and in later seasons Jacob, the most unreliable sidekicks / unpaid employees.
You can go to the dump, steal a garbage truck, hook up with us at a hotel, we're gonna move some furniture, okay? That's it.
Leahy, the park supervisor.
Cheers, genitals.
And Randy, his shirtless assistant, who are together the main antagonists of the show. J-Rock and T, the park's resident gangster rappers. Ricky's on and off love interest Lucy, their daughter Trinity, and in later seasons Grandson Motel. Sarah, Barb, and that insane dude whose name I didn't look up. To better understand Trailer Park Boys, we will first look at the connotations of the trailer park and its place in Canadian culture. Ah yes, the gun-shooting, trailer-looting, earth-polluting, alcohol-loving trailer park trash stereotype.
Julian!
While this term is usually used in the context of American culture, the hoser archetype can be regarded as the Canadian equivalent. According to the Canada Encyclopedia, hoser is a slang word for a Canadian of limited intelligence and little education. Almost always a white man, a hoser is, to some extent, the Canadian equivalent of American terms like hillbilly and redneck, though without the overtly racist connotations of the latter word. The image of the hoser was popularized in the 1980s by Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas on Second City Television, a Canadian sketch comedy show, in an improvised segment called The Great White North.
He's in tune.
The fictionalized hosts of the show, brothers Bob and Doug McKenzie, embody the hoser stereotype. Their characters are portrayed as uneducated, beer-drinking, bacon-loving Canadians who comment on various elements of Canadian culture. The hoser is above all non-American, and while he isn't committed to fitting in with the status quo, he's also not actively trying to change the system around him. He's a symbol of the working class, whose uncertain fortune in the face of economic decline reflected the wider experience of Canadian workers at the time. Another example for the hoser archetype are South Park's Terrence and Phillip.
You farted in court! Yes, Philip, I'm making a case for our defense!
While the hoser's popularity comes from its everyman image, it is important to note that being straight, white, and male, the hoser is not representative of Canada's diverse population. Trailer Park Boys deals with this problem to an extent by including black characters, although having them take on more of a group identity, and by exploring homosexual relationships, which is something I will discuss more later in this video. While Trailer Park Boys does to an extent perpetuate the hoser stereotype, it offers an interesting and innovative take on it. Let me examine Ricky as an example to better illustrate this point. Ricky, played by Rob Wells, is portrayed as being highly undereducated, short-tempered, and determined to solve almost any problem by shooting it with a gun or hitting it. While his personality largely fits the hoser archetype,
You have no idea how stupid you are, do you?
Actually, yes, I do.
his peculiar abilities add depth to his character. He's a creative storyteller, as he manages to fabricate convincing alibis on the spot when confronted by cops, and outsmart them 99% of the time. He's great at growing weed, and in his own way, cares a lot about his family. Ricky's malapropisms, or Rickyisms,
My wife we're talking about, she's not gonna be wearing one of those cubic zirconium fucking things.
Looks like we have no choice. We're gonna need 2 turnips and heat.
2 turnips and heat? What the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly. Get 2 birds stoned at once.
and his clumsiness, while fitting to the hoser archetype, are developed to such lengths that they transcend their role of a superficial stereotypical characteristic and instead become highly anticipated moments in the show that shape him as a character and deliver humor beyond their archetype origins. Yes, they contribute to Ricky's hoser status in the show, but there are also unique traits that paint Ricky as an imperfect character and make the audience like him, despite his many faults and questionable behaviors. Ricky is selfish, violent, corrupt. He regularly abuses Corey and Trevor, but we still find ways to like and sympathize with him. His circumstances in life were far from ideal. We see this from his father Ray, who is not exactly the model parent. Ricky's lack of education and his unfortunate circumstances humanize him, make his faults easier to digest, as well as distance him from being just a hoser stock type character. Another thing worth mentioning is that Rob Wells portrays Ricky exceptionally well, which makes Ricky such a convincingly flawed yet likable character. Besides awesome character development, Trailer Park Boys challenges everything that a TV show should be, which leads me to my next point: anarchy. The antisocial, violent nature of Trailer Park Boys is a rebellion against the hegemony of American media and its prescriptive format for TV comedy shows. Especially in the early years of Trailer Park Boys, English language cinema in the North America was heavily dominated by the Hollywood media empire. Themes of Trailer Park Boys like habitual criminality, substance use, and homosexuality combined with violence and cursing all oppose what was deemed appropriate for TV broadcasting at the time. In addition to this, the lifestyle portrayed on American television in shows like Friends or Sex and the City differs significantly from the lifestyle affordable to the average viewer. Life in Sunnyvale is chaotic, and its residents represent a poor, marginalized part of society who, much like the average viewer, experience a range of problems on a daily basis. Viewers can identify with the daily struggle to get by, more than with idealized depictions of life in New York apartments. Trailer Park Boys satirize these unrealistic depictions through excess. Ricky's houndstooth shirt, gold chains, and Elvis hairstyle, over-the-top makeup and outfits of Sarah and Lucy, and of course Bubbles' high prescription glasses. Getting drunk and chain smoking are part of the daily routine in Sunnyvale.
You have to let the liquor take absolute control.
After which there's a 50% chance for a fist fight, ground wrestling Randy, or shooting a squirrel. While their features and behaviors are exaggerated, the boys still personify a more realistic physicality than the flawless skin, freshly cut hair, and defined abs of Joey and Ross. Trailer Park Boys departs from the fetishization of commodity culture endorsed in popular American media by openly mocking its polished, perfect look, and instead assumes that ordinary people living in a trailer park are worthy of media attention. Trailer Park Boys is also rebellion against the system and societal norms. It allows the viewer to explore fantasies of escapism from the rules imposed by the government. The show offers relief to the repressed fantasies of living outside of the system and organized society, without having to deal with responsibilities.
Anyway, I slept there, had a pretty good sleep, but I still had to get up early this morning because I got responsibles now.
The more we understand the running gags of the show, the character perks, the more we feel like we belong in the Sunnyvale universe. And I mean, who wouldn't want to hang out with the boys, have a beer, and forget about work and deadlines for a while? Trailer Park Boys has an anti-capitalistic tone. Unlike reality shows like Big Brother and Survivor, who are all about getting ahead in life by winning a huge prize, the boys are all about getting by. Making money is also a major driving force in the show, which leads us us to the next point. Economics. Freedom 35, the name of Bubbles' beer brand, the guiding star for all money-making endeavors. The boys do not have full-time working careers. Instead, they're outcasts who lack opportunities for upward mobility. Even Leahy, who had a full-time job as a cop, gets kicked off the force. Making a living is a major topic of the show, with most of the action being pushed forward by attempts at making money. This is another major difference between Trailer Park Boys and mainstream TV, where the financial side of things is usually left out. People just magically have enough money to afford rent in the middle of New York City, drinks at a bar every night, new clothes, vacations. Trailer Park Boys shows us a different reality, where people are months behind on their lot fees, struggle to afford food and drinks.
Can I borrow $30?
What are you, crazy? I don't have that kind of money.
Live in their cars, manage their money poorly,
So I'm gonna pay you $100 to fuck off.
but also dream of financial freedom and strive to achieve it, although often failing. Through all of this, the show normalizes poverty and working class dysfunction, but at the same time, it doesn't simply reproduce cultural stereotypes of white trash identity. The boys aren't lazy. Instead, they are productive, inventive, and resourceful. They exhibit great creativity through a range of economic schemes like DIY projects, cultivation of plants, creation of alcohol products,
This here is rock vodka, you know what I'm saying? Can I get a jaya?
illegal and legal business ventures. Bubbles, played by Mike Smith, is perhaps the most interesting example for creativity and resourcefulness. He was initially supposed to be a secondary character, and in season 1 and 2, he remains mostly uninvolved with the criminal activities of Ricky and Julian. In later seasons, Bubbles becomes one of the boys, with more and more action revolving around him. As the show progresses, Bubbles develops from a shy cat lover to a complex character, a musician, a wrestler, inventive, intelligent, and compassionate. His relationship with Julian and Ricky also changes, from being pushed around by them to calling the shots and having agency in the decision making. He also ends up founding several companies, starting small with Kittyland Daycare Center, Shed and Breakfast, and selling burritos to the oldies, to his scrumdiddly tomato sauce and own brewery in season 12. While mostly successful in his endeavors, Bubbles is shown to have financial difficulties. Besides his struggles in early seasons, where he mostly gets by salvaging shopping carts, his debt to eons in season 11 can be interpreted as criticism of the consumerism mindset and the exploitation of the everyman by company schemes such as buy now, pay later. Finally, I want to talk more about the space of the trailer park itself and the representation of its community. Sunnyvale Trailer Park is a physically unappealing environment, polluted with garbage, broken glass, and full of stray cats. Despite this, the trailer park residents, and especially the boys, love the trailer park and would go to great lengths to protect it. The trailer park aesthetic represented in media, in shows like The Beverly Hillbillies, My Name is Earl, in movies like 8 Mile and $1 Million Baby, in video games like Trevor from GTA 5, and in animated shows like Kenny from South Park, typically presents narratives of redemption while critiquing poverty. The story follows trailer trash type characters' attempt to escape the atrocious environment of the trailer park. Most of the action takes place outside of the trailer park itself, and the characters living in it are associated solely with negative connotations, like questionable morality, stupidity, criminality, and violent behavior. In contrast, all the action in Trailer Park Boys takes place in Sunnyvale, with the exception of the occasional trip to downtown Halifax. The boys dream of spending their lives in Sunnyvale, and don't intend to leave even after repeated attempts by Leahy and Randy to force them out. Julian, portrayed by John Paul Tremblay as the unofficial leader of the trio, makes purchasing the park his mission, through which he wishes to provide independence to the whole community. I personally find Julian to be the least developed character of the trio, yet his role in the show is crucial for the community spirit of the Sunnyvale community. Trailer Park Boys offers a different take on the trailer park aesthetic. The community of Sunnyvale is tight-knit, acceptable, and deviates from stereotypical depictions of the trailer park. At the same time, it is not idealized. Trailer Park Boys combines the good with the bad. We get violence, but also kindness. We get anger, but also acceptance. A good example for this is the relationship between Leahy, played by the late John Dunsworth, and Randy, played by Patrick Roach, who both adopt some typical hoser characteristics. Leahy being a heavy drinker, and Randy being addicted to cheeseburgers. Besides sharing stereotypical white trash traits, they're in a homosexual relationship and engage in After coming out to the Sunnyvale community, Randy and Leahy are accepted by everyone, contrary to what is expected in the context of a white trash trailer park. We might expect to see a homophobic response, teasing, and perhaps even violence. But instead, everyone just literally goes meh and moves on with their lives. This sets the whole Sunnyvale community apart from the traditional representations of trailer parks. Trailer Park Boys took us on a wild ride, and I've certainly enjoyed watching and rewatching episodes. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. No, but seriously, hit the like button.